A lawyer suddenly finds himself turning into a dog while working on a case crucial for his career. Will he make this work if all he can ever think about is catching a frisbee and taking a walk in the park? Hello and welcome to our channel. Today we'll recap and review an American science fantasy family comedy film, The Shaggy Dog. Let's check it out.
Oh, nice shirt. You know, if I was putting your physics teacher in jail, you'd be thrilled.
The movie starts when a helicopter ascends in a rural area in Tibet. The head of the team shows them a photograph that might be at least 80 years old and briefs them that their mission is to capture a bearded collie named Kai Yang Po, which translates to Dog of Ageless Wonder. Moments later, they successfully captured the dog and brought it with them in the helicopter. Back in America, in a residential subdivision, Dave comes out of his house practicing his lines. However, he stops in his tracks when he sees Baxter, his neighbor with his dog, doing his business on his shrubs and tells him off. Baxter calls out that Dave hates dogs, but he defensively says that he only dislikes them, particularly Baxter's dog.
What kind of person doesn't like dogs? This man is a lawyer and dislikes dogs? Hope you have at least one redeeming characteristic.
He finishes his small talk with his neighbor and goes inside the house while ranting about his case. Justin, a local teacher and animal rights activist who firebombed Grant and Strickland, one of the largest pharmaceutical companies, for their illegal use of animal testing. It turns out that his lines he was practicing earlier are for his trial today as the deputy attorney. His wife, Rebecca, reminds him that he has to take their youngest child, Josh, to the parent-teacher conference, but he reasons that this case might be his chance in becoming a district attorney. She dismisses his excuse, which pushes Dave to accept this responsibility. He suggests that after this case, they'll go together on a trip, but Rebecca reminds him that he always cancels those trips they've planned before. It appears that Dave is a workaholic and he doesn't give that much time to his family. His eldest, Carly, also comes out, but she snobs her father while wearing a shirt supporting Justin Forrester. He calls out his daughter's actions, but Carly is firm about her decision to support Justin and thinks that it's her father who's in the wrong. This argument is about to get worse when Carly's boyfriend, Trey, pulls up on their driveway, so she and Josh leave to get a ride to school. In the courtroom, Dave does his job to prosecute Justin on the grounds of trespassing and damage to property. He even appeals to the jury by citing conditions and diseases that the company has made and developed medicines for, even baldness, which makes the bald jury think there's a glimmer of hope for him. After the trial, his associate Ken commends his excellent start to the trial, and Dr. Kozak, Grant and Strickland's head scientist, expresses his support. Then Dr. Kozak immediately leaves and meets with Dr. Lance, one of the owners of the corporation. The older scientist asks him about the development with Ki Yang Po. It turns out Kozak is the one who captured this dog because of his strange condition. He is over 300 years old due to a genetic mutation.
The two scientists marvel at the dog and think he's the key to a scientific breakthrough. Normal humans, on the other hand, will look at the dog and think, this is the cutest thing they'd ever seen.
Kozak and two other geneticists plan to transfer the gene to humans, but have failed to do so because the dog's cells overpower and alter their test subject's cells and DNA. One snake even had a furry dog tail, and one of the frogs grew a pug head. Despite this minor side effect, Kozak assures Lance that with this invention, they will have the patent for the fountain of youth. Moments later, Ki Yang Po successfully escapes the geneticists by threatening them. Luckily, he meets Carly and Trey, who are also planning to sneak inside the lab. Upon seeing a dog within the lab vicinity, Carly takes him with them and thinks this could be evidence to prove the corporation's animal testing. However, she realizes that this might not work as the dog doesn't have any tag or identifier linking it to the corporation. Still, she brings him home, where the rest of the family accepts and loves him. Well, except for one.
David comes home and tries to apologize for not attending Josh's parent-teacher conference, but gets distracted when he sees an unfamiliar dog in the kitchen. Since he dislikes dogs, which is a major red flag, he takes Shaggy, as his family named him, to the garage.
Shaggy takes a newspaper with Justin on the headline in an attempt to communicate with him, but bites Dave when he tries to reach for the paper. Here we can see that Shaggy's saliva and cells, shaped like dogs, infect Dave's cells. Because of this, Dave calls for the pound to have Shaggy taken into their custody. During the night, Rebecca expresses her concern for Josh, who is flunking math, but instantly gets upset when Dave is not paying attention. To make it up, Dave sincerely apologizes by planning to cook for the kids for tomorrow's dinner, and plans a date night just between the two of them. Touched by this effect, the two of them share a kiss, but he starts scratching the back of his ears like a dog. The next day, the symptoms worsen. Dave starts to develop a sensitive sense of smell and hearing, that he could hear the music Josh is playing through his headphones and could distinguish the exact scent of Rebecca's perfume. Just like a dog, he gets excited by the thought of running around the park and sticking his head outside the window while on a drive. This condition also sabotages his next trial because of how his growling pissed the judge in charge. Concerned that this might be rabies, he goes to the pound but discovers the test results came out negative. He confronts Shaggy in the dog pound and suddenly finds himself transformed into a bearded collie himself. Dave escapes the dog pound in his dog form and heads back home while the two geneticists retrieve Shaggy to take him back to the lab. Luckily, Carly is home and happily invites him back thinking he is Shaggy. Dave tries to talk to both of his children, but his words translate into barks. Carly freaks out that all the dog has ever done is bark and proposes to take him back to the pound. Upon hearing this, Dave immediately rolls to the ground and acts cute to charm them.
Good thing is, he's not doing this as a grown man because no one is ready to see that. Fortunately, his charms worked, and Josh just brings him to the dog park to calm him down.
However, he is the opposite of calming down since all the dogs in the park are smelling his butt. He tries to get answers from other dogs if ever any one of them were humans just like him, but gets carried away by his dog instincts when Josh throws a frisbee. While Dave is busy with the frisbee, one of Josh's classmates reminds him that he has to do an audition in the theater, but Josh doesn't think he has to go even if his heart tells him to. After a long day in the dog park, the two of them went home, where Dave sees his disappointed wife who has been waiting for him to come home and make dinner just like he promised. Dave then tries to use his personal laptop to say to everyone that he's turned into a dog, but both his children stop him as they think he's only messing around. He tries to wear his human eyeglasses, but his whole family thinks he's just doing tricks. Since he strictly imposed that dogs can only sleep in their garage, he sleeps in the garage himself. That night, he transfers back into a human and tries to explain the truth to Rebecca. However, since it sounds so absurd, he gets sent out of the room. The next day, Ken expresses his disappointment in his behavior back at the courthouse and his disappearance the whole day. With that, he tries to act normal at work, but fails to do so even when the judge scolds him. During the trial, Justin mentions that he saw a monkey acting like a dog, a snake with a dog tail, and rats that barked. While everyone in the trial is laughing at this remark, Dave was rather intrigued and asks what kind of dog he has seen. When he confirms that it was Shaggy and sees Kozak frantically leave the courtroom, he immediately pieced the story. Meanwhile, to make up for his absence during the parent-teacher conference, Dave and Rebecca personally meet Josh's homeroom teacher, who expresses her concern about the kids' fluctuating grades.
However, he fails once again to act normal when he starts to chase after a stray cat on all fours, and even causes a distraction on the streets. While in the alley, Dave transforms again into a dog.
However, the animal pound was also in the same alley and captured both him and the cat. Luckily, Josh fetches him from the pound and takes him to his football game.
Because of this, Dave discovers that Josh is not particularly talented in football. Scratch that, he doesn't know a thing about football.
He also discovers that Josh prefers to perform in musicals, but refuses to pursue it as he is afraid to disappoint Dave. Josh is also intentionally flunking his own grades, just so he cannot play football anymore. Back at home, Dave also learns that Josh is incredibly talented in singing, and his daughter is really passionate about fighting for what is right. Upon hearing this, Dave becomes incredibly disappointed in himself for not making enough time for his family and not knowing his kids better. He's about to become more disappointed with himself when he realizes that it's their anniversary, yet he cannot transform back into his human form. His absence as a human father strains his relationship with his family. He also finds himself on the verge of losing his career when Ken informs him that he's out of the case. Simultaneously, Kozak's team successfully produces a serum with no major side effects and immediately puts it into mass production. Because of this, Dave investigates the case himself. He sneaks inside the lab in his dog form and witnesses Kozak administering the serum to Dr. Lance. However, Kozak swapped the serum with another drug that paralyzes Dr. Lance for a few months, so he could become the new CEO of the corporation by the time the drug wears off. His team expresses their disapproval of the plan, but when Kozak bribes them with money, they agree in a heartbeat. Upon hearing this, Dave immediately escapes, but his footsteps were heard by everyone in the room. They reviewed the security tape and discovered that Dave can transform into a dog. Kozak instantly destroys the tape and orders the two to abduct him in dog form. After a long night, Dave comes home. Upon hearing that his children are thinking he and Rebecca will split up, he reveals his identity by using Scrabble, which they believe. Carly calls her mother to inform her about it, while Dave encourages Josh to pursue his dream. However, this reunion is short-lived when the two geneticists tase and abduct Dave and bring him to the lab to euthanize him. Kozak mocks him while he is in the cage, but Dave manages to give him a bite, transmitting Shaggy's cells to him. However, Kozak hasn't realized it yet and leaves the lab while scratching himself like a dog. In the lab, the mutated animals help Dave to meditate so he can return to his human form and escape the cage. To return the favor, Dave helps the animals to escape. However, his problems don't seem to stop when the two geneticists tase him again, this time in human form. But with these animals, no one is left behind. The mutated monkey tases the geneticists and sets Dave free. Meanwhile, Rebecca has also discovered the truth when Dave calls her to meet him at the courthouse and bring clothes for him. However, Dave is stuck in traffic, so he leaves his car with his animal friends and runs to the courthouse in his dog form.
He successfully comes in just in time and meets his family who's waiting for him. He changes back into his human form and kisses Rebecca in his naked form. Yikes, one family therapist, please. Everyone's gonna need one. Even Trey.
He enters the courtroom, and with his last chance, Dave calls Kozak onto the stand and questions him about drug production. Kozak manages to dodge the question, so Dave changes his strategy to infuriate him by mocking him about working under Dr. Lance's shadows. This strategy is successful, but Dave gets sent outside for his strange behavior and baseless accusations. With another plan in mind, Dave enters again and throws the baton, which triggers Kozak's dog instincts, then later grows a tail, proving Dave's point and accusations. This puts him into custody, concluding this trial as a successful one. After seeing that his animal friends safely parked his car, Dave asks Ken to set up a trust fund for their safety, while Ken assures him that he has a huge chance to become the next district attorney. However, for Dave, his family is more important to him. They finally got their vacation as a family, where Dave plays along with Josh and caught the frisbee with his mouth.
This movie is perfect for animal lovers, especially our dog lovers out there, since you'll be hearing a lot of barks. Music to a dog lover's ears, right? Other than that, this movie will surely make you bark out loud, especially on a rough day. This will also remind you that anything is possible as long as you do the right thing and don't come to the bark side. Alright, that's the last one, I promise. Please subscribe to our channel to be notified when we upload. Also, don't forget to suggest movies you want us to recap in the future in the comments down below.